this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Stuff You Should Know is brought to you by Grainger. Grainger knows that if you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you can be confident that soon you'll have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello and welcome to The Short Stuff. I'm Josh. There's Chuck. There's Josh. And this is Short Stuff, like I said.
Your nickname is Josh.
Which is short for Joshua.
That makes sense.
It does, almost boringly so. Your nickname is Chuck, which is short for Chuck. No,
Nope.
It's short for Charles.
Yeah, that's what kind of got me onto this. I realized I sort of never knew how Chuck came from Charles. And there are a lot of examples of names that we're going to go through right now that don't quite make sense. And there are some interesting and murky stories behind a lot of these.
Well, let's start with yours, with
Okay.
Chuck. I always thought Chuck was short for Chuck Bo Buck. But it's not. It's short for Charles. But it doesn't really make sense. I mean, there is the CH that you know, you're like, well, okay, they're associated in that way.
That's about it, though.
But it turns out that the story behind how Chuck got associated with Charles is one of the most fascinating, convoluted stories that anyone's ever come up with. And unlike most nicknames for English language names, it does not come from England or even from the UK or Europe. It comes from America, specifically the Lower East Side of New York in Chinatown, where there was a guy named George Washington O'Connor, who came to be known as the first Chuck O'Connor, or
That's
just
right.
Chuck Connors.
Yeah, and not the Chuck Connors, the actor.
The rifleman.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. But this is a gangster. He grew up in Chinatown, and this is how the story goes. You know, we weren't there. Hung out in Chinatown a lot by growing up there, obviously, and became known as the mayor of Chinatown. And he says that he got the name Chuck because he loved chuck steak.
And everyone else said, that's not true, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's the guy. He should know. But other people have pointed to the 1850 census in the U.S., where if you look at those names and you pick out the Chucks or the variations of Chuck, they were Chinese. He's in
Right.
Chinatown,
Yep.
variations of Chuck in Chinatown. And so basically, when he dies, they misprint his name as Charles. He never
Right.
was Charles.
No, it was George.
So it was just basically a big mistake. I'm a big mistake.
Well, your nickname is, that's all.
Yeah.
Not a bad one.
Not
How
bad.
about another? How about Hank? Hank is short for Harry or Henry, right?
Yeah, weird. But this one makes more sense.
It does. It's actually pretty straightforward. Henk, Henk, is actually the Dutch name for Henry.
Right.
And so back in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, again around New York with all the Dutch settlers, they would have called somebody whose name was Henry, Henk, Henk, which eventually became Hank. Pretty boring until you realize that the original nickname for Henry wasn't Hank, but among English speakers, it was Harry. So much so that Prince Harry, his real name is actually Prince Henry,
Didn't
which
know
I had
that.
no idea
Yeah.
until today, yesterday.
Same here. This one is super interesting because I've often pondered, how does a Richard become a Dick?
Mm-hmm.
And this one kind of goes back to medieval times when basically there were kind of like four names. You were John, William, Robert, or Richard. And then there was always like, you know, Serge over in the corner. But it was basically those four names, more or less. Mm-hmm. And so it got really confusing. And so nicknames became really popular. So you could sort out your Richards and your Roberts and your Johns and your Williams.
Yeah, because not only did they all have the same first name, people didn't have last names by that time yet.
It was just so confusing back then.
It really was. So people started coming up with rhyming names where the first letter would be different, right?
Yeah, you had to make sure you were killing the right guy.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Right. So Richard has always had the shortened form of Rick, basically. Yeah. But because you might know 7 Ricks, you might also call one of them Hick or Dick, because rhyming names and switching letters with an H or a D was very, very popular back when people had absolutely nothing to do but farm and then die. So they would come up with stuff like this. So the original nickname for Richard was Hick at first, from what I understand.
Yeah, the same for Robert. Robert wasn't Bob at first. It was Dob or Hob. Mm-hmm. And then Bob came along much later for the same reason.
Yeah, and actually you can see this. There are people walking around with the last names of Hobson or Dobson.
Son of Hob.
That would be the son of a Bob or a Robert, who is nicknamed Hob or Dob by the people, again, who had nothing to do with their time.
All right, this is getting really confusing, so we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And come back and talk about Williams and Margarets and Sarahs and Anns and Johns right after this.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
Everyone knows winter is the real mess maker. You don't need WeatherTech floor liners for summer unless you hit the beach and half the beach ends up back in your car, or the campsite dirt ends up in your trunk. Then you'd want a cargo liner, or a road trip goes sideways, lemonade spills, ketchup goes rogue, ice cream drips. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy about those WeatherTech seat protectors. So just to be clear, as the mud you're inevitably going to step in this summer, you don't need WeatherTech unless you plan on doing summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
Stuff you should know.
Okay, Chuck. William to Bill. Seems pretty straightforward. Will, Bill, it rhymes. But apparently that's not the story behind it. If you go into the Irish Gaelic dialect, which is probably a form of Celtic, if you'll remember from the Druid episode, if you look at the letter W, you would typically want to say W. But no, it actually makes a B sound. And so when William the Conqueror headed into Ireland in the late 17th century, he was not very well liked. And so the local people who spoke Irish Gaelic saw that William and called him Billy. Instead of Willie, they called him Billy.
Billy.
King Billy was the first Bill, and that's how Bill became the nickname for William.
But how does a bill become a law?
On Capitol Hill. It just hangs around.
Ladies, we haven't forgotten about you. Peggy is a nickname for Margaret, which this is where things get really interesting with the rhymes.
Yeah, if you weren't interested before, prepare to be finally in this episode.
Because apparently in the 1500s and the 16th century, there was another fad for rhyming M names with P names. So this is how it goes timeline-wise. Okay. Margaret becomes Marge. Mm-hmm. That becomes Mag, or Madge, I guess. That becomes Meg. Eventually that becomes Meggie, perhaps. And then that becomes Peggy.
Yep. Meggie, Peggy.
And they say that that's the lineage, or not the lineage, but what's the word I'm looking for?
The lineage, I think that works.
Yeah.
The etymology, the evolution.
Yeah, the evolution. There you go.
Okay.
That thing.
Here's another one for Margaret. So did you know that Daisy is a nickname for Margaret?
I had never heard that.
I hadn't either, which makes zero sense until you start speaking French. And you find out that Marguerite is the word for the flower daisy. And so some English speakers who were pretty full of themselves said, we're going to start calling Margaret's daisies.
Okay, I buy that.
I love it.
Martha would turn into math or moth. Eventually that would become Maddie, and then Patty, and then Patsy. So Patsy is apparently still a nickname for Martha.
Did not know that one.
I did not know that either.
So my favorite of all is Anne to Nancy.
Yeah, I like this one too, actually.
So instead of like saying something was my, people would say mine. And they would speak affectionately of people, or I guess possessively of people, by saying like, mine Anne. Right? And then because people don't like to expend a lot of energy, that got shortened to Nan, my Nan, right?
Yeah.
And then Nan got kind of changed and dolled up to Nanny, and then Nancy, and then finally Nancy. So Nancy is a nickname for Anne. And the same thing also applies to like Ned, Nellie, any English name that begins with a vowel could be changed from mine Ed to Ned pretty easily.
There's one apparently ascribed to Baby Talk, or attributed to, I guess I should say.
Sure.
Sarah. Apparently, some kids have problems pronouncing the letter R. It'll sound like an L. So Sarah somehow makes the leap to Sally because of kids?
I guess. Have you ever heard Sally as a nickname for Sarah?
No.
I always thought Sally was just the name you were born with.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was short for salsa.
Well,
you know?
My daughter started making up nicknames for her ghost friends, which I guess are imaginary friends. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to see her just come up with these names because one of them is Salsa.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, there's Osi, Salsa, Fossil, Andy, Seesaw, and Siu.
She loves the sibilants, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's all sort of, it's she's working it out.
You're like, it's all in good fun.
It is, but now, like, I reference Salsa or Fossil or Osi, and she's like, yeah, they're right over there. And then I laugh, but part of me goes, is my house haunted?
Right. As long as they're not telling her to burn things, I think you're A-okay. My oldest sister had imaginary friends, and they were named Bobby, Teak, and Peak.
Bobby, Teak, and Peak? Mm-hmm. Was it Bobby Teak as one name, or there were three people?
There were 3 people.
Oh, so there must be something to that.
Yeah.
Alliteration?
And I think so.
All right, let's finish up with John and Jack being a nickname for John. Because I always, when I first heard that, I think it was in the presidential debates when, who was it that said, you're no Jack Kennedy?
Lloyd Benson.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and being like, who the heck is Jack Kennedy? I think he meant John. And then I found out it was a nickname, and I never quite got that until yesterday.
Yeah, which is weird because nicknames are usually shortened names. This is just 2 4-letter names.
I know.
John and Jack. But yeah, Jack is a nickname for John, and there's a couple of theories. One is an easy one, that it goes back to the Norman invasion, where the French would have brought the name Jacques over.
That makes sense.
That people were like, oh, Jacques, Jack, makes sense. The problem is that Jacques is the French name for James, not John. So there's a little bit of a hole in that one.
Yeah, the other is, again, in medieval England, sometimes you would add K-I-N, kin, as a suffix. Mm-hmm. So William was Wilkin, Peter was Perkin, which is how you get things like, again, Wilkin's son or Perkins. And apparently John became Jenkin, and Jenkin was shortened to Jink, which became Jack.
I think really this just demonstrates no one knows where Jack came from.
I think so.
So there you go. Hopefully your name was in there. If it wasn't, you can make up your own nickname. It's cool. Go ahead and let us know what it is. Find us somewhere on social or via email. Who knows? But we leave it up to you to determine which route to take. In the meantime, we're out of here with our short stuff.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.